I don't know about you guys, but growing up, I absolutely loved the Jurassic Park movies. The first and third one. The idea of bringing something back to life after hundreds of millions of years is a crazy cool idea to think about, even nowadays, and Jurassic Park really brought those ideas to life at the time. Of course, a series that gained as much attention as Jurassic Park is bound to have some people who are going to try and piggyback off the success of the brand, which is what we're looking at today. Jurassic Park and Jurassic School. Now, Jurassic Park is more of a fever dream than a movie, so we're going to look at Jurassic School first. Now let's get something out of the way before we even get into the movie. This movie is clickbait. Yes, this movie clickbaited us. This dinosaur does not get anywhere near the size they are trying to hint at here. It gets maybe the size of like half a 5th grader. I don't know if it's the platform I viewed this on, but the sound quality is terrible. An asylum film! Woo! Let's go! We see this schmuck Tommy riding his bike to school, and upon arriving, he helps this wannabe young Sheldon, Ethan, with his robot dinosaur, and they high-five. Nobody high-fives like this. Why? The teacher's acting is really good in the beginning, and throughout the whole movie, this guy gets his panties in a twist over being called Reggie. But Reggie is there to pick a kid to get a grant for the school. Ethan's project is the CGI-looking dinosaur that he claims he got no help on. Then it's Tommy's turn, and he's actually pretty smart because he starts going into the Jurassic Park-esque genetic modifying stuff.
So in theory, one could take the map genome of an ostrich and use the Dilger system to make cuts to edit out, or add in additional genome changes. In doing so, we could, for example, edit the ostrich DNA to get multiple species of dinosaurs, and we should be able to hatch a baby Ammontosaurus using an analog device to input the new DNA structure.
So he's basically like this universe's Dr. Wu. And I'm just saying it right now, there is no way he built this thing that fast. He just casually brings an ostrich egg to school, and Tommy doesn't even try to be subtle about the fact that he's fucking with his project. His dino starts shitting out donut holes and knocks over Tommy's jumbo block set. While trying to catch it, he crushes the ostrich egg and loses the competition. Wait, Reggie only came to watch 2 experiments? There's a whole ass classroom left. The teacher begs, and eventually Reggie lets Tommy become Ethan's partner. That's a lot of names. But Big T here is determined, so he goes home and tries the experiment again, which fails. You didn't need to know that. You're welcome. The next day, Ethan blackmails Tommy into doing all of his homework for him, and doing all of the project, and giving Ethan all of the credit. And Tommy just lets him. The project they're gonna do is on some growth hormone, and that's pretty much all you need to know. His female friend, whose name I forgot, so I'm going to be calling Tapatio, runs some calculations. Tommy has a brain blast and figures out how to get his experiment to work, and I still don't understand what the whole point of the kinetic energy part is here. After a minute of laying in bed, he daredevils the egg because it barely moves and he hears it from like across the room. What hatches is a CGI abomination, and instead of bringing his scientific discovery on par with discovering fire out into the world, he decides to hide it. It gets into his growth hormone goo and he covers it with a blanket to hide it from his parents. But why? Why hide it from them? The dino starts growing fast as fuck and turns from CGI into live action, which is honestly way more terrifying. He spawned a Hypsilophodon. They bond and it plays some cute music, even though this thing is lifeless. I mean, look at it, it doesn't even fucking blink. Tommy realizes how living things work and decides to go find it some food. There's some dino antics, and he decides to use his mom's first place prize-winning fern as food, not thinking of the consequences. Then this motherfucker decides to read the dinos some bedtime stories. And the dino listens. It falls asleep. He even gives it the bed. What the actual fuck? He blows Tapatio off and grows an entire egg this time, double the size. Turns out Spike is suffocating because they had 50% more oxygen back in their day, so he decides to order a bunch of plants online, and I'm not even going to try to figure out if this would be a viable short-term solution, but I'm just going to call it bullshit. The delivery guy helps him bring in the plants and eventually sees Spike, and he just fucking bolts. Spike is now oxygenated enough, and Tommy's dad wants to see a T-Rex. Me too, Tommy's dad. Me too. Tommy says they wouldn't do that, but I think popular demand would make it happen. He tries training Spike like a dog, and it works. His mom finds her fern in his room, so she grounds him. His sister is doing laundry and sees Spike when she goes to get Tommy's. I don't blame her. Real life Spike is a terrifying Spike. Tommy comes home and begins mediating the situation and says,
It's okay. You're compatible.
like it's someone's first time over and he has a big dog. His sister eventually comes around but blackmails him for secrecy. Tommy is so comfortable being blackmailed, it's crazy. Tapatio calls him and tells him they're ready to kick him off the program because he hasn't been answering his emails because he's grounded. So he has his sister watch Spike while he heads to school, but his sentence increases. He presents the experiment, which I think Ethan messed with somehow, and the egg explodes. Reggie kicks him out of the program, and we see Spike and his sister getting their glam on. They have a photo shoot, and Tommy comes home with the big sad. His sister acts nice, and it's weird. She's been a big cunt the entire movie. They bring Spike to the school on the front of Tommy's bike, which is extremely dangerous and stupid in my opinion. I feel like Spike changes sizes multiple times throughout the movie to make the plot go more smoothly, like he's the Ant-Man or something. Ethan gives him his piece of shit project and says, "Fix it," and he leaves faster before he came in. Spike thinks it's a real carnivore and he runs away in fear. I just stared at that light and blinded myself. Beautiful. CGI Spike is pretty funny. It's like he runs in ×2. Spike runs around the library like it's an episode of Scooby-Doo, and Reggie and the teacher see him and realize that Tommy created a fucking dinosaur, and then the librarian calls the police. They eventually chase Spike downstairs and Tapatio cuts Ethan off, and she tries to shut him down but he just moves her aside. Spike is chased across the school and Tapatio gets everybody on Ethan's side. They refuse to give any information to the teacher and Reggie freaks out when the cops show up. They catch up to Spike and surround him. Smart. And he almost bites Ethan. So close. Tommy gets Spike to run, and Vistatech sends a van out. Vistatech is the big bad company, the one that Reggie works for, and they dino nap Spike. They claim that Spike is their property now, and the policewoman gets her people to look into Reginald Reynolds. Yeah, I read it back on the script. Reginald Reynolds. That's his name. This separation scene is actually kinda sad.
Please let me go with him.
Reggie tells Tommy not to come near the dinosaur again, and tells Ethan to get in. He's obviously playing favoritism. They left some of their guys there. His sister gives him an opening and he runs away after the dinosaur. Tapatio shows up and gives him a ride, or whoever's driving them does. She keeps saying throughout the entire movie that her mom's away on a business trip somewhere out of town, so I don't know who's driving here. She also keeps saying her mom can help, and it gives me the impression that her mom is like the CEO of Vistatech or something. Tommy just waltzes in there and his sister shows up out of nowhere. How does she get there? It took him a car ride to get there and she just bikes up like nothing happened.
I staked my reputation, my career, and this grant on you. Now fix this before it's too late.
That's your fault. Who stakes everything on one kid that you barely know? They used a robot dino to breach security and these dumb fucks just let it walk in. Where do the dino turds come from? There's no hole big enough there that could actually drop them, so it kind of got me curious. It's also not big enough to hold enough batter to bake that many donuts. One of the guards starts eating like it's a mukbang, and then Ethan suddenly grows a conscience and says, "I won't be a part of you killing one of the greatest scientific discoveries in the world," or something like that. They sneak past the guards and Reggie sees them almost instantly. They run into the teacher and Ethan says he feels really bad and wants to make it up to Tommy. He feels really bad. Oh no. Somehow the guards didn't catch up and they put on the worst disguises of all time. Like the guards aren't gonna notice a couple of munchkins walking around. The teacher asks this guy for a defibrillator and he just agrees and goes along with it.
I was wondering if you had a defibrillator. Yes, a defibrillator. Do you have one? Can you? Yeah, sure. Go.
This monitor is nothing but zeros. Ethan gets a garbage can and... wait. Does Tommy get in there with the dinosaur? He's dying again, so they take him to the forest to oxygenate him, and it doesn't work, unfortunately. As Spike is dying, it just looks like Tommy's trying not to laugh. Ethan starts crying here as well for some reason. The teacher shows up, and Ethan gives her the most spiteful response.
You're too late.
Like, why was that so spiteful, my guy? It wasn't her fault. Why wasn't she following you guys the whole time, actually? Where did she disappear off to? It turns out it was a stress-induced hibernation, so they put him in an oxygen chamber and he eventually revives. Reggie shows up again and instantly gets arrested. How did Reggie find them? How did the cop find Reggie? Turns out I was half right. Tapatio's mom is the CEO of a rival company. Look at this cheeky fuck's face when his sister explains to his mom that he made a dinosaur. He's just like... Yeah, that was me. Tapatio drops a day 1 patch on Spike so he can breathe, and we see a T-Rex hatch. That's Jurassic School. So the picture of a giant dinosaur attacking a school is just flat out wrong. It's lying. The director Mark Atkins has worked on other masterpieces such as Android Cop, and is currently working cinematography on a movie called Confederate Zombies. I don't have much to say on that, I just wanted to bring that up somewhere. Overall though, not a terrible movie. At least not compared to Jurassic Park. Speaking of which, let's get into it. Jurassic Park was directed by Jason Wright, who has directed a total of 3 movies. 2 of which have the talking tomcat on the movie front. Make of that what you will. We open in deep space and the CGI is so bad it looks like a PlayStation 2 cutscene. This is Squirrel and this is Marlin and Butterpaws. The bad guys. Butterpaws has a Professor X-type chair and they go on and on about something called the Master Bone. It's a bone that makes whoever hold it all powerful. They could rule the universe with it. You could skip the line at the DMV. The dialogue is something to behold.
What if they find it before we do?
Never. I will take care of those pesky agents.
Butterpaws goes on and on about how he will go universe to universe and just be a dick and come like completely, you know, wreak havoc and shit. And Arnie here calls him a dick. Okay, he calls him evil. You want to know what's evil? Leaving your home without petting your dog first. That's evil. The movie introduces the heroes, if you can call them that, and their eyes look dead from war.
Whoa! Billy June! I never knew space poop scooping could be so much fun! Yeah, I think that's 'cause there ain't much poop in space, Tony.
What the fuck is this movie? Butterpaws apparently dognapped all of the agents, and the captain just asks for them back like somebody stole his eraser or something. That whole call was useless like most of this movie, and this next line is delivered so emotionless a text-to-speech could have done better.
I need 2 agents now, or the universe is kitty toast.
These scenes are just so hard to watch. A horse comes out of nowhere and there's some useless dialogue that isn't funny and he tells them to see the captain. Then we get a jarring cut to them meeting with the captain. He's going on about how they failed every test and how they are some of the worst agents they've had, which they take in stride, mind you. But despite all of that, he's going to make them agents of Starpaw. Then Mr. Piggy debriefs them again, and I think one of their voice actors is Mater.
Yeah, we always up for bones.
There's another out of left field transition, and their trainer's name is McAdoo. She acts like the Riddler and asks them a question that, if they get right, will make her think about training them. She asks them how many steaks could fit into a photospheric supernova star pod, and they give a super scientific answer.
The metric surface of a photospheric spiral supernova is minus 90,000 megatrons. Therefore, you can't fit any T-bone steaks in it, because it's not really there. Nope. But you can unfit 700,000 T-bone steaks. Yeah, or in other words, if 700,000 T-bone steaks enter the photospheric spiral supernova, they become negatively charged, and they're immediately transmuted to 0, leaving behind a stew-smelling stardust residue with a half-space life of 30 million trillion megazillion ions, which in dog years is about 3 minutes. What about the T-bone steaks, Tony? No T-bone steaks.
Their realization means that somebody's coordinates must be adjusted immediately. Doofus and Rufus here barely figure out that Marlin is their arch nemesis, and Marlin just kind of roasts them.
Not with those 2 goofballs as your best Starpaws agents. Ridiculous.
They meet Agent BLT and they begin their smell training. They guess farts and a roast, but it was bananas. There's another jarring cut. It's like they mentioned someone and then boom, they're talking to that person. They meet Zen Master Birdbutt, who talks racist as fuck.
I will help you along on your dangerous mission by teaching you the ancient wisdoms of the yogi.
It is written on the bacon strips he had for breakfast that they will succeed in the way of the space warriors and the dog samurai. There's another cut where Zen Master is talking to the captain out of nowhere. It's revealed that Scrat has known about the location of the Master Bone for quite some time. Then there's this weird cut to a black screen before we see the captain getting the boys another trainer. Even though they haven't been trained on a single thing so far. These dogs in the background, what the fuck? The music picks up like a Guga Foods video, and then they do more training, fail, and then do more training. Their new law of physics blew up that space station that we talked about earlier. And then there's a group meeting, and Marlin reveals that he has found the Master Bone. His laugh is stupid. The planet the bone was on imploded, destroying the bone. So Slappy here suggests that they build a time machine and go back in time and get it. Then Starpaws finds it somehow, even though Marlin dognapped all of their agents. Then they decide to build a time machine of their own. And then over halfway through this movie, we finally get our first look at some dinosaur. Oh wait, that's it? Their goal is to get there before Marlin, and their idea of a time machine is using a black hole. Using a black hole as a time machine doesn't count as building a time machine. Even though they have failed every test and destroyed a space station, the captain still decides to send them. With a teammate though. Commander Eugenius Toughnut. He is far outside time itself, and why the fuck does he have human feet? They leave and the ship stalls, so Toughnut calls some crackhead cats for a jump. They end up crashing on planet Lavatron eventually, and then they go from about to hit the planet to farther away. Then they don't have the budget to show them going through the atmosphere, so we see it from the planet's perspective. I watched this scene like 3 times and I still can't comprehend what's happening. But all you need to know is they crashed on the planet. They get the equipment they need from a bear on bath salts, and then Marlin teleports Tweedledee and Tweedledum onto his ship and dognaps them. So Toughnut comes in blasting. It's a real high-octane battle. Somehow Toughnut teleports them back. How? Why am I even questioning it? I have no idea how you make a space fight this boring. And then we see that the crackhead cats work for Marlin. That's the biggest plot twist of this entire movie for me. They reused the same scene from earlier on their way to get another friend. They also reused the scene of them flying into a cave from whenever they crashed, and they have to explain the mission to another person. I just realized these dogs have buttholes. Then they fly by this same planet again, and then they get attacked by Marlin. Again. During this scene, I think the animators forgot what ship they were in because they used the HQ ship whenever they should be using the travel ship for the fight. The captain calls them and it gets very meta. He explains that they should have actually just went to the planet to get the bone, just like the movie should have done, and ignored all the useless bullshit, but isn't that okay? They go for the black hole but then get frozen in time by Marlin. Just kidding, they drive out of it instantly, and then they finally go through the black hole and they arrive at the planet. And holy shit, we get a look at a dinosaur. These motherfuckers really put a to be continued at the end of this. They made this, sat down, watched it, and thought, yeah, we could probably make another one. The amount of names used in the credits is astonishing, and I'm glad they clarify at the very end that no animals were harmed in the making of this film. I was really worried there for a second. Do you think that these movies hold up to the standard that Jurassic Park has set? Let me know. There's a whole ass classroom left. Bye.